Hey guys, Scott Patton here. I've got November's top 5 picks for you guys. Hey guys, Scott Patton here. I've got my top 5 picks for November. We're going to go through these and hopefully it'll help you guys out catching some more fish during this November. You know, November is really a tough month for me to pick out just 5 baits because, I mean, so much can go on in November. You know, because right now it's first part of November and it's really mild out here. We've got 70-degree air temperatures and 60-degree waters. And by the end of November, it can really drop and be, in 50 degrees. It just depends on what kind of weather we get in the next 4 weeks. But I've gone through what I feel like I would go with if somebody told me I had to pick out just 5. And so let's go through them, guys, okay? I'm gonna start out with the top water bait. All through fall, November especially, is top water baits. And the bad thing is there's always a variety of different top water baits we've got out there, but this is a bait I can work. This is a Lucky Craft Sammy, and the reason I went with this because it's a bait I can work fast, slow, medium, fast. I can walk it and stop it. I can give it a continuous retrieve. So that is why I will go with a walking bait like the Lucky Craft Sammy. More of a shad pattern this time of year. More on your sunny days, I may throw more of the chrome colors and translucent colors. And then on your dark, cloudy days, I would probably go with your bones or white, something more of a solid color. But I'm going to use this bait right here on, it's like a 6'10" rod. I want to be able to make that bait walk. I can make it walk a lot easier on a shorter rod than I can, say, a full 7-foot or 7'1" rod. So, the Lucky Craft Sammy, I'm also going to throw it on probably 17-pound test, mono or braid. Either way, you can choose on that. If I'm making really long casts up on flats and I got good fish up there, I would normally go with braid because I want to be able to get a good hook set if those fish are way up on flats where I can get my boat into. So number 1 for me is the Lucky Craft Sammy, some type of walking bait, guys. All right, my second pick is going to be a jackhammer. It's a bait that's used year-round. It's a great bait. I'm gonna go with something like a shad pattern, of course. If you fish in lakes that got more stained water, you may want to go with something with some chartreuse in it. As simple as something solid white like this, and you can take you some dye. Try to do this without making a mess here. The bottle is about empty. And just dyeing the tail on it like that, guys. They can make a big difference if you got stained water, if you got runoffs, you're fishing back in runoffs and back in the creeks and stuff like that as we get some fall rains and stuff like that. So I'm going to, throw this thing almost everywhere. I'm going to throw it on riprap. I'm going to throw it around grass. This time of year, usually a lot of your grass is starting to die out. You're going to have more patchy grass in a lot of lakes, especially like we have here on Chickamauga. So I'm almost going to look at them patches of grass like they were stumps. I'm going to throw it on both sides, and if I can, I'm going to throw it over top of them, okay? So, fish this thing, like I say, Backer Creek's riprap. I'm going to fish it, of course, like I said, in the grass. And, lay down trees in the fall can be real good. And even on bluff walls, guys, if you have a lake that you have a lot of bluff walls on, this can be a really good bait paralleling that bluff wall and throwing it down through there. Try to get as tight as you can and fish this thing different retrieves. A slow retrieve. You may want to speed it up. And if you may want to just, crank it or reel it up, and then once you get to some cover, let it fall and continue to retrieve like that. A lot of times that'll get fish to strike, especially fish that's not wanting to bite. So the jackhammer is going to be my number 2 pick for November, guys. And you know, another bait too, again, like I said, there's a variety. I'm going with another square bill. And the reason I'm going with square bill is because I feel like I'm going to be fishing more shallow water than I am deep water through most of November. Of course, crankbaits, there's so many different variety of crankbaits out there. And as you go through more towards the end of November, you know, you might want to use a little bit deeper diving crankbait. And it really depends on what part of the country you live in. But as it gets colder too, you may want, you know, towards the end of the month, you may want to go to more crawfish colors and stuff like that. Over the past, I've learned that crawfish color crankbaits late in November can outproduce, you know, bluegill and shad patterns. But as of the first part of November, I would focus on shad pattern and also a bluegill type crankbait, okay? These are Lucky Craft 1.5s, and I catch a lot of fish on them in the fall. You can fish them about everywhere. And it's just another good universal bait, you guys, okay? So number 3 is the square bill, all right? And then, of course, I got to go with my spinner baits. You know, I love to fish spinner baits, and I'm going to use different size spinner baits this time of year, you guys. You know, I'm seeing a lot of gizzard shad. If you fish in a lake that has a lot of gizzard shad in it, you want to go with some of your bigger baits. You're going to catch some of your bigger fish in it, especially if you got stained water. If I'm fishing in a lake that has a lot of small shad in it, which most lakes do this time of year, and the water's clear, I'm going to go to something a little bit more smaller profile that's going to imitate that small bait fish. So, you know, number 4 pick, guys, is going to be spinner baits, but don't just use one size. Make sure you try different sizes depending on the lake you're fishing and the water color, okay? And so number 4 is, of course, my spinner bait. Number 5 is going to be a jig, and there's, again, on jigs too, there's a variety of different type of jigs to use. Most of the time I'm going to be flipping a jig, whether it's around laydowns, on stumps, any kind of wood I can find. And again, in those clumps of grass, I love to take a jig and flip a jig in those clumps of grass. Like I said, this time of year that grass starts breaking up a lot, and you got to visualize that almost like you're flipping into a stump. I'll take a heavier jig, a 1/2 ounce or 3/4 ounce jig, flip it up in there, let it fall right into that cover, and a lot of times you get just a reflex strikes where you're getting out of those fish. I'll go with, you know, of course, my green pumpkins, you know, like a black and blue with short shrews if I got some stained in it. If the water's pretty clear, I'll go to just a black and blue, or if it's kind of that off color, like I say, if you're fishing run-ins and stuff, just go again with the black and blue. But one thing I've done a lot is have a little bit of short shrews in that black and blue and some stained water. It's really done well for me. These are just I believe both these are Hackney's flipping jigs, Strike King's flipping jig, great jig, I love it. And another jig that I'll use a lot if you're fishing clear waters, lakes that don't have a lot of dingy water, is just going to be this little bitty ball jig, you guys. I think that might be a 3/16, I'm not for sure, but you can see I got that rigged up with a little packer chunk on it. It's a green pumpkin, it's natural looking. But if you're fishing lakes that have a lot of clear water in it, this is going to be a jig that you're going to catch a lot of fish on. You know, I'll throw it around cover, of course, and then something I'll do too, those lakes that you have bluff walls and stuff like that in, fish this thing on bluff walls, work it down that bluff wall, you'll catch a lot of fish. And this is also fantastic to fish around docks and stuff like that, that, you know, you find brush piles and crappie brush piles. A lot of times this time of year the water's going low, and you can spot those brush piles if you don't have an active target and stuff like that to identify those brush piles. A lot of times you can visually see those brush piles. So wear your good pair of sunglasses and pay attention to that kind of stuff, especially when you're fishing docks, because a lot of times you catch that big fish on the outside of that dock in that brush pile in November. They seem like they really get on that wood real good in the fall. And again, those lakes that's got real clear water, you know, go with that little ball jig. It's more of a micro jig, so that's going to be a bait you're going to have to rig it up. Now when you are jig fishing, you guys, you know, you're going to want to go with different colors, and you also want to pay attention with the trailers that you have on. There's so many different trailers. And this right here creates about a medium-sized profile. It doesn't have a lot of action on it. And then you have the Strike King Rage Crawl on this one here. It's going to give them a pulsating action on it. It's going to be in dirtier water. You can feel it. I may dip the claws in short shrews. But if I've got more stained water, I may go with something that's going to create more vibration. And again, another bait that I like to use This is one that a lot of guys have gotten away from, and it reminds me of the old pork chunks that we used to use a long time ago. And it's a Zoom salty chunk. You know, it's a bait that I've used for years. And all I'm gonna do is just take that thing and rig it just like the old pork chunks like we used to a long time ago. And that creates a real big profile, guys. That's another really good jig trailer for when you're jig fishing. So in my top 5 picks, like I say, I know there's a huge variety of baits you can use this time of year because November, you know, there's a lot going on. But I believe with these 5 right here, I can go out on pretty much any body of water, find fish and catch fish, and I can cover a wide range of water depths with these baits. So hopefully these tips will help you out. Hey guys, we have got a winner for our October pick, and that is Kevin Belts. Kevin, I tell you what, congratulations, buddy. We got a lure packet we're going to send out to you. If you'll get my email or my phone number there and just text me that you were the winner, your name and your address where you want it to be shipped to, we'll get this packet out to you. And we're going to do the same thing, guys, again for November. So make sure that you like the video, make sure you're a subscriber, and leave a comment, and we will pick a winner out for November as well. And it's not long, guys, until I'm going to be heading down to Okeechobee. When we start guiding down there, I always guide for Roland Martins down there in the wintertime. If any of you guys are looking for a fishing trip in the wintertime, you want to fish Lake Okeechobee, you can get a hold of me. Again, my contact information is down below. It's a fantastic lake. I'm excited about getting down there. And thanks for following along, you guys. And we'll get some more tips out to you. I appreciate you guys following along. Make sure you just subscribe for me, guys. I appreciate that a bunch. And we'll see you on down the lake. Thanks.